So we need microphones on, and Sean goes, yeah, it's not.
Now?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Good evening. We'll go ahead and begin our April 9th, 2024 reorganization meeting. Tammy, please let the record reflect that all board members are present. This time, the board will vote to accept the certification of the clerk of Greene County, the results of the school election held on Tuesday, April 2nd of 2024. On April 2nd of 2024, the regular annual election for 3 school board members was conducted for 3 directors for a 3-year term for each of us. The certified results of the election are as follows. Susan Provance, 13,104 votes. Danielle Kincaid, 12,277 votes. Miriam Muhammad Khani, 11,318 votes. Landon McCarter, 11,004 votes. Chad Rollins, 10,742 votes. Scott Kreis, 7,191 votes. And Kyler Sherman Wilkins, 6,936 votes. A copy of the election results was provided to the board members. This time, I will entertain a motion that the board accept an order. How is that reading? Accept
Order filed.
the order filed, the certification of the clerk of Greene County of the results of the school election held on Tuesday, April 2nd of 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion from board member Bruner. Do I have a second?
Yeah, second.
Okay. Second from Vice President Kreis. This time we'll take a verbal vote. A vote in favor accepts the certification of the clerk of Greene County. Board member Byrne.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. It passes 7-0. This time we will move on to our recognition of outgoing board members. Vice President Kreis, do you have any words?
Yeah, I do. Make sure this is on. I wrote some things out last night and just wanted to say it seems like it was just yesterday I was sitting out there, listening to the wise words of Bruce Renner, Jill Patterson, and Jerry Lee as they were exiting the board. One of my favorite pieces of advice came from Jerry Lee when he said, "Don't listen to the noise." He was so right. If you did, it would bring you so down and nothing would get done. I think we got a lot done in the past 3 years. We onboarded a new superintendent. We learned a lot together. We finished the projects from the original bond project. There's a lot of great work done on these projects, thanks to Travis and his team. It resulted in significant savings and allowed additional projects to be done. Then we got another bond passed, and we passed a strategic plan which put student academic achievement first. We have amazing teachers, paras, support staff like nurses, bus drivers, cafeteria staff, custodians, counselors, coaches, attendance coordinators, administrative assistants, principals, assistant principals, school police, and administration, just to name a few. I appreciate all your hard work and dedication to our students. Is there room for improvement? Yes, we see that. Can the election process be better? Yes, definitely. I can't leave without saying something about the grueling election process, especially the questioning by the SNEA. Let me say that I know there are many dedicated teachers who are members of the SNEA, and very few of them were actively involved in the interview process. Candidates were asked to fill out surveys, and then they were interviewed. One question asked by the president was to name every current board member and explain what we thought were their strengths. I struggled with this, as did many others. What type of question is this? I've spoken to many people, including those who are on boards, as well as HR professionals, and they all have been shocked by this question. How does this divisive question get asked? This process also led to the endorsing of a retired teacher, but to not endorse a retired teacher and former SNEA member who dedicated her whole life to SPS students and made a difference in so many lives that she is in the SPS Hall of Fame. Furthermore, in describing why they picked another candidate, the SNE stated the following. This incumbent is the only incumbent candidate who does not have a full-time job, which allows her to invest the time necessary to delve into the issues at hand. This implies that only candidates they will endorse are people who are not employed, and the people who have jobs are not able to invest the time necessary to be on this board. What type of message is this sending? We, a union of people who have jobs, only support the candidacies of people who do not have jobs. Having voiced these concerns about the SNEA, I do want to say that the SNEA has a very important place in Springfield Public Schools. And the animosity that has developed between SPS administration and the SNEA leadership is not serving our students and family. As I exit this board, my greatest wish is that both sides can find a compromise, meet in the middle, and work together. Our district depends on it. On a lighter note, there are so many people I want to thank. First of all, our original board, including Dr. Alina Leonard, Dr. Denise Frederick, Dr. Charles Taylor, for all their guidance and help with us newbies when we came on. We had so much to learn, and you were always kind and patient with us. You got to understand my sense of humor that I used occasionally to lighten the mood when we needed it. There were a few long meetings I don't think I could have made it through without passing notes to Denise Frederick. Yep. I appreciate Dr. Lathan and your staff. I've enjoyed working with you, and your staff and getting to know you all. You all work well as a team for the success of the students of SPS. And you and your staff are also patient with me when I ask questions, sometimes simple questions. And to that, the teachers, parents, and support staff that I mentioned earlier, I'm confident that great things are in store for SPS because of your commitment to make each student successful. I want to thank everyone who supported me throughout my campaign. There were so many who did so much for me. I wish I could list them all, but that would take a long time, and I have to drive to Cape Girardeau tonight for work, so I don't want to prolong this much longer. Speaking of work, I want to thank my employer, who's always supported me throughout my time on the board. I appreciate their flexibility and the commitment to the community. This is going to be a tough one. I want to thank my friends and family, my friends for always being there to listen and offer advice, especially Miss Richard Allis's early morning text of the News Leader and Daily Citizen headlines that I got to wake up to. I appreciate the former board members and administration that were always there for me. My in-laws, Mike and Nancy White, who were my biggest cheerleaders. Okay. My daughters, Natalie and Cynthia, for their love and support, and for letting me gain valuable experience when they attended SPS, and for getting married during the summers of 2021 and 2023 when the agenda was light in SPS. And to my daughter, Cynthia, who helped me manage my Facebook account and hiding the mean comments that were on there. You know, the noise like I talked about earlier. And finally to Martha, thank you. Be my rock. I had several people state that you use common sense and work well with everybody on the board. I worked hard at this. But it was Martha listening to me and letting me vent, providing me with valuable advice, and encouraged me to just do the right thing and stay in your lane. Be the better person. I'm a much better person because of her. She's simply the best. Mm-hmm. To this board, it's been an honor serving with you. I have gained a lot from each of you. I wish you the best, and I hope we can keep in touch. I do ask that you follow the board norms to work together. I challenge you to go back and thoroughly review the board self-evaluation we recently completed. Do a deep dive into it. Please be respectful of each other. Dr. Lathan and her staff, be the better person. Work together with each other and Dr. Lathan for the betterment of the students of SPS. That is crucial for the success of each student and for the success of the Springfield community. Thank you. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
That's it.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you for your service. I think you will be missed. Your comedy essentially will be missed as well. Okay. This, correct. Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
You will be missed. I will miss you.
I miss you as well.
Oh.
Okay.
Across the street, yeah, or across the hall. All right.
Thank you, Scott.
Can I have a word or two?
Sure.
I just want to say thank you for all of your time and effort. I first met you when we worked together on the transportation task force. I see that you're committed to our community. You're committed to doing the hard work. Always appreciated your levity and allowing us to not always take ourselves so seriously. You have clearly been intentional in trying to provide balance and fairness, and that's always appreciated. I see your effort in maintaining relationships with everyone on the board. That's appreciated. It doesn't go unnoticed, and I want you to know that and let you know that your time on the board was appreciated. So thank you so much.
Scott, it truly was a pleasure to work with you. You really are a good man, and it shows when tough decisions have to be made, and you toil with that, and you carry that burden. But I think you've always performed well into your conscience, and I think you have been a good influence on this board, especially when times were tough. You were always level-headed, rational, reasonable, intentional, the best intentions. So you really will be missed. You know, a year ago today, I tried hard to get you to be president, and it didn't work out. I believe you were just too busy, but I think you showed as vice president that you certainly had that capacity in bringing people together and would have served well in the presidential role as well. You have a little gift.
Oh, yes. All right. Thank you so much. This is great.
Yeah, so I don't know if those will make it to West Plains,
All right, thank you so much. That's awesome.
but it's been a pleasure, Scott. Thank you.
This is great. Well, thank you.
There we go. If I may, Scott, hey, God bless you, man. It's very difficult being on the board. I think everybody understands that. It's very time-consuming. And God bless your employer for providing the opportunity for you to be able to serve. People in our community really, unless they've been on the board, they really don't know how much time it takes to put forth an effort going through the material, to be able to make the right decisions, and the decisions that you make. I provided you with a book. It is a daily reading, and I hope that it guides you to continue the wisdom that you used on the board in the rest of your life. God bless you. Thank you so very much. It's been a pleasure serving with you.
Been a pleasure serving with you as well.
I would just say ditto to what everyone else has said, and I didn't know you, Scott, before last year, but it's truly been an honor and a privilege to get to know you and to serve with you. I'm going to miss you. I guess I didn't see your sense of humor as often as everyone else did, but I'll tell you, one thing that I will really miss is your engineering expertise. I learned a lot in terms of the construction meetings that Board Member Byrne and you and I were a part of. You asked great questions, and I was in awe of what you could bring to that, and I really appreciate it. You have a very good habit, and I do think it's habitual for you, that you think before you speak. And I don't know that we can say that about everybody, but that's very true for you. And you contemplate before you make your position known, and I find comfort in that, quite frankly. So you know how to listen, and I think that's a very good thing in serving our community. So I have appreciated everything that you've done, and it was great getting to know you, and I do hope we can stay in touch. And Martha, it's been nice getting to know you as well. Obviously, you are a wonderful team together, so good for you, and best wishes, Scott.
It's been an honor to serve in this team together. I don't think we could have gotten through this last year without that. And I know part of that is also Martha, so thanks for letting SPS borrow Scott's expertise for a while. Now our phone calls can be about fangirling over Taylor Swift instead of SPS matters. But you will be missed. But I know that you're going to continue doing other things to serve your community. So thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Thank everybody. I appreciate everyone.
Okay. All right. At this time, the board will adjourn, and we will reconvene momentarily for our reorganization meeting.
Yes, but you, yes, on behalf of the Greene County Clerk would come forward. And our three new board members, if you would go to the front, meet Mr. Scholl at the front, please. Ms. Provance also join us. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for all the work you do for SPS. Yeah. Hopefully we'll be in touch.
Yes.
Still see each other again.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate all you do.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for your service, man.
Good. Yeah, thank you for everything. Yeah.
Because it's all three elected.
Okay. Thanks.
If Miriam really knew Susan's nickname. I think there needs to be a T added onto the.
He's trying to get the flag.
Dancing until we're here, you know.
Oh, okay. Oh, he's with the flag.
Support the Constitution of the United States and the laws and the Constitution of the State of Missouri. And I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of school director in and for the school district of Springfield R12 of Greene County, Missouri, to the best of my ability. So help me God.
When I would have elections at Crane and Aurora, we would never have news media.
Travis, I think his mic's on.
It's odd.
Probably laughing.
That was so weird.
At this time, we will move on to item 4.2, election of president. Is there a nomination for board president?
I'd like to nominate Judy Bruner, and before you either accept or decline, I would ask you allow for a second so that we could have a discussion.
I would second that.
I respectfully decline and nominate Danielle Kincaid for president.
Since we had a second, am I allowed to discuss?
So we don't have to go back and forth with suspending the rules, adding the rules, yes.
I know you said you decline. I'm hoping to ask you to consider to step up and lead this board in a moment where it needs you to do so. A year ago today, we had a very chaotic back and forth that resulted in 4-3 votes leading off that year. I believe we have an opportunity here with a new board to put someone in a leadership position that I believe the public has clearly stated is someone that they know and trust and that is a champion of this district. I truly feel that you are the best suited leader of this board, and I would ask that you consider to step up and lead this board. I think it's an opportunity to bring us together. There was a lot of discussions about this board being divided, and I think you are one that would unite, and I think that this board would bring itself to pass you 7-0 if you would choose to do so. I know it's a tough decision. Last year, Ms. Kincaid led after only 2 years on the board and having never served as any sort of officer. And she has done a good job leading meetings and has the skill set and was able to do those things. But I truly feel at this time you can be someone that could unite us and we could all get behind it. I think that would be what would be best for the students, the teachers, Dr. Lathan, and the community.
If I may.
I'm not running this meeting.
Okay. I second that rather quickly, and there's a reason, because I do think that you would be a great catalyst to help us form the board that I think a lot of the people within the community would want, as well as your experience in the education field, your leadership within the schools that you have exhibited. And I think many of the administrators could see that to be a very great benefit, as well as the staff of educators. I know you're level-headed, even though you do cheat looking at my notes from time to time. It's an inside joke that we have, but as I said with Scott, I think that every member that comes to this board is blessed to serve, and you've served for so long, and I'd like to have you put that knowledge to work in this board for us to achieve bigger and better things for this district, and I think that you should be the president.
If I might, I appreciate the kind words. I truly do. I am committed to serving our community. That's been my life's work in a number of different capacities, and the school board was just the next level of opportunity that I've been given. I am committed to a united board and for doing what I can do to listen carefully, not sit here and be thinking ahead of how to rebut something as someone else might be giving an opinion about something that I may or may not, at least at the onset, agree with. So those skills, that skill set that I have, I will continue to use to the best of my ability to serve not only our community and our students, most importantly, and the families and the staff. I will use those skills as best I can. I just truly do not believe that this is the year for me to do that, and I stand behind my nomination of Danielle Kincaid for president. But thank you.
Dr. Lathan, can I add a few words? You have served in every role. I can't think of something you haven't done, right? in every school, at every level there can be, not just building leader, but also as an administrator. And you stepped up to lead Central, and you didn't have to do that. And I think that was a really critical time for Central High School. So having said all that, we're all here for the same reason, and we want to work together. And I think having you as president would be the glue for the board. And I understand your hesitation because it is difficult when you haven't served in a leadership position, so there's the technicalities of being VP and all that. But I'm confident that Ms. Kincaid, as your vice president, you can tag team this. I just wanted to add my voice to the support and hope that I can somehow strong arm. Can you strong arm her there?
Thank you.
Is it working?
No, but thank you. I do appreciate the kind words. I do from everyone. And I give things due diligence, and this isn't the first time that that's been mentioned to me. I've thought about it a lot. I just really believe this is not the year for me to do that. But I can serve and still support the board and this community, whether I'm sitting in this chair or wherever. But I really do believe I've said this privately to some of you. I have watched President Kincaid really grow into the role, and she's done a great job, in my opinion. And I support her as president. I do.
All right, we had a nomination and a second. However, Ms. Bruner has declined the nomination for president. So at this time, is there a nomination for board president? I know you said it in the thing, but we need to make it formal. So at this time, is there another nomination for board president?
I would nominate Danielle Kincaid for president of the Springfield Public Schools Board of Education.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Are there any further nominations for board president? If not, the nominations are now closed for board president. We will conduct a roll call.
I'd like to have a little discussion.
Okay.
Judy, I understand. I'm sorry that you don't feel it's your time. And I regret where this leaves us. I will say that I obviously stood against Danielle Kincaid being president last year. She did exceed my expectations. She has the skills and did bring a certain order to the board that was very useful in us focusing on business and getting business done. There are a lot of positive things that she has done as our president. I just have concerns with the division on the board, and there have been, that is the aspect that is challenging, and I guess I would ask that if this vote ends up passing for Danielle Kincaid to be our president again, that a renewed effort on the words, the way things are said, the posts that are made, that they never intend to divide or point out the failures of another board member, because consistently those things have happened. And to not speak cryptically, just one example was the promotion of the idea that there are book banning extremists on this board. And I do not think that it is uniting of our board leadership, of our president, to propel that narrative during a campaign and then to come back and lead this board in a time where I think the election showed us, the people that participated in the election, the constituents, everyone showed a desire to be united. And I think the overwhelming support for both Susan Provance and Judy Bruner in the last two election cycles show that exactly, the nonpartisan uniters and educators that can lead us. And that's why I had hoped that you could lead us, Judy. I can't stand in the way. I'm only one vote. And I'll continue to work professionally and cohesively towards the goal of making Springfield Public Schools a better place. But I would ask two things. One, that the leadership be a uniter in all comments made, and to try to understand that different board members choose to serve in different ways, and to not be critical of each other and to work together. And the other, as we move on to a vice president situation, that we consider some options that would be uniting, so we don't continue to have 4-3 split votes where 4 members are trying to push the other 3 in another direction. Thank you.
At this time, we will conduct a roll call as it relates to Danielle Kincaid for board president. Ms. Bruner?
Aye.
Mr. McCoskey?
Nay.
Ms. Provance? Aye. Ms. Muhammad Khani?
Nay.
Dr. Thomas Tate?
Aye.
Mr. Byrne?
Nay.
Ms. Kincaid?
Aye.
At this time, we have 4 votes for Danielle Kincaid for president. It passes. Madam President, I'll turn over the meeting to you.
Thank you, Dr. Lathan. Is there a nomination for vice president?
I'd like to make a nomination for vice president. Mr. Kelly Byrne.
There's been a nomination for Kelly Byrne for vice president.
I would second that.
Are there any other nominations for vice president?
I'd like to nominate Judy Bruner.
Nomination for Judy Bruner as vice president. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for vice president? Okay. We've done this a couple ways different in the past. I think we went back and watched the video, and I believe that we'll just vote for Kelly Byrne or Judy Bruner. So I'll do a roll call vote.
Well, will we have an opportunity for discussion?
Sure, we can do that.
Okay. Well, I wanted to just, I was really hoping that, Judy, you would be the president and Danielle could be vice president. But changing gears here. I see the diversity on our board not as a source of division. I've never seen it that way. I see it as a source of power. I think we are a powerhouse if we choose to be. We can work together and do some amazing things. So there's my stance on how we can capitalize on the different views and the different ideas that we have, because we are united in our mission. I see Kelly over the last 2 years as somebody who has been very purposeful in developing relationships with everyone. I think he has been very effective in communicating his position on the myriad of issues that we've had to deal with. He certainly led the charge on significant changes. For example, the idea of having an owner's rep was new to all of us, and that worked out really, really well. The idea of changing the legislative platform, that was, I don't know how he did it, but he got it done. I think that he gives everyone a space and everyone a voice. And my concern is, with Ms. Kincaid leading again, is that we are staring down the same barrel as we did a year ago. which is a 4-3 split vote. And I see this as second semester in school, right? We're all starting out with A+. And I just want to keep that going. It is a new dawn where we can work together. And I see Kelly as the person that has shown that he can do that. He has led. I think it's also very important that we have in a leadership position somebody who has kids in the district, and he's the only one on this board that currently does. I have been very impressed with his capacity for leadership and his ability to always find compromise, more so than in any other board member, including myself. I admire you greatly. I've said this to you privately, but I'd like to share it with the entire board. I'm older, lived many more years, but for one so young, and I get to say that to you because I am older. You're an incredible board member, in addition to being an incredible parent.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion?
I would like to chime in if I can, please. Kelly, I think you'd be a great asset as a vice president. I'd much rather see you as president. I think you have some really great leadership skills. I think you're calm on times that actually allow you to reflect on what everybody is saying. I know that it's not your intentions to interrupt people, which is one of the biggest issues that we have on the board, and that's what begins many of the vision. You are not necessarily opinionated as much as you are listening to how everybody weighs in to make a decision, and then you weigh in with logic, and I like that. You do have children in the school system. Being a father of students in the system, you've always participated in a number of ways within the district, like even volunteering to teach and educate. Love the opportunity where we were looking to actually evaluate how we spend our funds with the Proposition S and passing that Proposition S and being able to ensure that we are using our money in the right way. And that's what stakeholders had brought you on board to do. I see that you continue that service, whether you're in the vice president position or not. But that type of knowledge and that type of mentality needs to be in a position of leadership. And I think that should be you, at least as our vice president of this board.
Any further discussion?
Yes, man. I appreciated all your kind words for Judy. She was a great principal and a mentor of mine, and I could tell that you were sincere in supporting her for the presidency, but I hope that your support would roll in for the vice president. I understand exactly what you're talking about second semester. I think that this is a different time. This is a different slate. This is a time where we can unite, and I feel that 7-0 votes is what the community wants us to display, a type of teamwork that we want to make sure that we move the agenda forward. We want to make sure that the kids have the education and the activities, and we have to balance the budget and accomplish that. But I appreciate all the kind words that you said, and I hope that this would be a way that we could support Judy as vice president.
I have one more thing to say. Sorry, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say I appreciate the kind words. Dr. Mahamkani and Mr. McCoskey. I did not come here tonight expecting that, and I don't do well sitting here listening to people talk about me. That's strange. But I do truly appreciate it. And as we're considering this vote, I just don't know how much more to make it clear that we are asking for middle ground. We are asking to work together. We are asking to unite. This is what the voters have shown that they want, is for us to unite and to work together as a team with Dr. Lathan to improve the district, guide the district. Again, shy of Judy being president, I don't think it is uniting. I think you are leaving board members feeling without having a voice at the board officers meetings. So I'm asking for a way to come together and unite. And just like last year, I asked many ways and it was shot down over and over again. Here we are, trying to offer ideas, trying to unite. Please consider something other than, I guess, what you've proposed.
And this is why I admire you. Can I get
I had recognized board member.
Sorry,
Thomas Tate.
I didn't notice. I was looking down.
She hasn't
Sorry.
spoken yet. Yep.
Didn't want to interrupt anyone. I feel like we're talking in circles here. I don't know that having either Kelly or Judy is going to unify this board. This board will unify when all the board members decide that they want to be unified. I think that it will be difficult to function under the leadership of a board member who has made it clear that the rules don't apply to them and they are allowed to serve how they want to serve. We've had board training that was given to us that allowed for us to evaluate ourselves and to review rules and processes. And I would have a difficult time with Kelly as vice president when it was made very clear that I'm going to do what I want to do. That would be very difficult as a leadership characteristic for this board. This board can unify if we all have the same vision and mission of supporting students and teachers rather pushing individual agendas. Whether one person leads the meetings or another person leads the meetings, in my opinion, is less consequential than board members just deciding that we're going to unify. Even myself, I've recognized that there are things that I can do to collaborate more, and I have made a concerted effort to offer opportunities to collaborate and to make adjustments so that we can be on the same page. They haven't always been accepted, but I make the effort. And I think until all board members make that same effort, we will continue to have a split vote. So I would support Judy because I recognize Judy is a rule follower in the way that recognizes that we have board norms and we have expectations of how meetings should be run. And from what I've seen, Judy has been willing to follow those rules. And that's an important part of making sure that our meetings are efficient and effective.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Do I?
Yeah.
May I? Okay. Okay, so the dysfunction just started with your comments, Dr. Thomas Tate. This idea that there are rules. So I attended the same training that every board member did. And I don't recall anything along the lines of what you are pointing at. And so I think that we will work together when we stop pointing fingers. And I'm not sure what rules Ms. Bruner is following that I am not. If the rule is you show up and vote yes, then I guess that could be looked at as a rule, but that's not what I just was sworn in to do. So I think that we need to heal, and part of that healing is repairing the relationship with the teachers' union. And Mr. Kreis alluded to that and advised us. The workforce, the teachers, and all the other people that the union represents ultimately make our schools what they are. You know, we can have the best buildings and the best curriculum and the best technology and the best of everything, but when we don't have the best people, we're not going to deliver a good education, which is, I know, what we all want. So to that end, I think that we need to balance the leadership on the board. And in order to do that, we have to stop disenfranchising board members and pointing fingers, because it ultimately hinders our opportunity for growth. I see growth in the differences. I see potential in that you choose Dr. Thomas Tate to serve differently than Mr. Byrne. I think that is, again, powerful. I value that beyond measure, which is why I think it would be important to have somebody like him who does serve differently, who can elevate the voices that don't feel like they have a space on this board. That's why I find that a very nice balance to board leadership.
Okay, there's 2 nominations on the floor for vice president. Board member Byrne has been nominated and board member Bruner has been nominated. At this time, we'll take a verbal vote. You'll be voting for either board member Byrne or board member Bruner. We'll start with you.
Burn.
Bruner.
Mr. Byrne.
Mrs. Brenner.
Mr. Byrne.
Bruner.
And president votes for Bruner as well. So board member Bruner will serve in the vice president role. I look forward to serving with you. I think every single board member I heard wants that this board to be more unified. And to Dr. Thomas Tate's point, the board will unify when the board members are ready to unify. I think we've all each made missteps. Every one of us sitting up here knows that this is not an easy job. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I haven't made mistakes, but I look forward to serving as your president for another year and working with all board members to ensure that this is our board, because it is our board. And I know that board member Bruner and I will be able to do that as a team. So thank you. Okay. This time we'll move on to item 5.02 of our reorganization meeting, the appointment of a treasurer. I will entertain a motion that the board appoint Dr. Travis Shaw as treasurer of our board. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion from board member Muhammad Khani. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from board member Thomas Tate. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will take a verbal vote. Tammy, is it verbal again? Okay, okay. Okay.
Aye.
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 And president votes aye. It passes 7-0 for Dr. Travis Shaw to serve as our treasurer. Move on to item 4.03, appointment of the secretary. I'll entertain a motion that the board appoint Ms. Tammy Harrington as our board secretary. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion from board member Muhammad Khani, second from board member McCoskey. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call vote.
Aye.
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 And president votes aye. The motion to appoint Tammy Harrington as our board secretary passes 7-0. Moving on to item 6.01, the adjournment of our reorganization meeting, and we will take a short break after we adjourn, and then we'll come back for our regular meeting. Do I have a motion that the board approve the adjournment of our reorganization meeting?
I make a motion that we adjourn the reorganization.
Okay. Motion from Board Member McCoskey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Board Member Thomas Tate. And we will do another roll call vote. Board Member Byrne.
Aye.
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 And President votes aye. We will adjourn until 6:35. if my, hello? Okay, good. Okay, the time is 6:35. We will convene our April 9th, 2024 study session meeting. Tammy, please let the record show that all board members are present this evening. This time, those who are able to stand, please stand, and I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, that moves us to item 1.03, approval of agenda. I will entertain a motion that the board approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion from Board Member Thomas Tate. Do I have a second? Second from Vice President Bruner, and we will vote at this time. The motion that the board approve the agenda as presented passes 7-0. Moving on to item 2.01, public comments. The Board of Education welcomes comments about the issues being discussed. The board uses this time in our meeting to listen to the public, but will not comment or engage with the public during this meeting. The board allows for up to 10 speakers per public comment period. The board chair will call on the individuals in the order in which they signed up. Substitutions are not permitted. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes and will be timed by the board secretary. Comments must be acceptable for a business and family-friendly environment. Inappropriate language, gestures, or personal attacks will not be tolerated. It is inappropriate to address the board about individual students or individual staff members by name in open meetings. If you have concerns about individuals, these concerns should be addressed through the appropriate administrative supervisors, either in the district office or in the school. If you have materials that you would like to share, please place them on the tray next to the podium, and they will be distributed to the board members following the meeting. This evening, we have 3 public comment speakers. Our first is Laura Mullins. Oh, Mr. Holland, Laura Mullins is first.
Laura Mullins.
Yeah.
She is here.
I know. You're pointing out I missed the last one. It's good to see you. Okay. Good evening. I'm Laura Mullins, President of Springfield NEA. First, I want to congratulate the winners of the recent election. We often hear board members define their role as here to support the district. As a representative of almost 3,000 employees, we want to remind you those employees and over 20,000 students are part of this district. To give you a better feel for the state of the district, I will take this time to read the highest rated comments and thoughts from the recent climate and culture survey from the staff. There were over 52,000 ratings. Here we go. I would like to see all building administration on the same page when it comes to student discipline. Students can't learn when their classes are disrupted by student behavior. Students come back to school after several OSS suspensions and nothing changes. I appreciate snow days instead of AMI. Snow days are one of the last perks of working in education. Paras should be paid more. I can't even feed myself sometimes. Pay your teachers more and reduce KAC directors, etc. Students do not have consequences to correct behaviors. Students know they will not have anything happen if they are tardy to every class, act out, etc., because they see this happen every day. There's a reason a lot of people don't feel safe coming to school. Students know they can get away with so much and nothing can be done to stop them. Decrease class size and stop cutting positions and that support students. Our students need mental health support and behavior support. Teachers can't do it all. Training teachers to do everything is not the answer. Less admin and more classroom support. Positions that directly support students should be a priority. It shouldn't take $1 million a year superintendent and cabinet to run SPS effectively. Stop asking principals to decline referrals to make numbers appear better. Children with violent behaviors should not be in our classrooms. The district is too top-heavy with admin. We need more teachers and paras who actually work with kids and develop relationship with kids to fix this. Teachers are spread too thin. We need smaller class sizes and more paras. We should not be expected to teach with disruptive and violent students in our room. Have district leaders Fill open sub positions once a month so they can remember what it's like to be in the trenches. Actual discipline and action taken when students make the classroom unsafe by throwing items, furniture, screaming, and flipping chairs. Cut admin positions before cutting teacher positions. Do we really need this many directors and executive directors? One ED salary can pay for multiple new teachers. If you value us as experts, then you should trust us. When our feedback is ignored, it sends a message that your employees are not valued or trusted to do what's best. I could continue, but there is a sense of urgency that is palpable. Immediate changes need to be done and can be done. Holding this district accountable is the role you are tasked with. As always, we are happy to work with this superintendent and any elected board members. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
There's no tray, so.
I'm sorry, somebody stole my tray.
Oh.
There you go. Thanks.
I don't know. Yeah. Thank you. Our second speaker this evening is Dr. Kyler Sherman-Wilkins.
Good evening. I want to start by offering my congratulations to the newly elected and re-elected board members. Campaigning is exhaustive and expensive, but it was largely fair and civil. So again, congratulations. I also want to thank Scott Kreis for his years of service on the board, and I will always have an admiration for those willing to put themselves out there and serve the public. Everyone in this room, I reckon, understands that our public schools play a crucial role in shaping the future of our children and our communities. We wouldn't be in this room if we didn't agree. We also know that while the foundations are strong, Springfield Public Schools is facing a myriad number of challenges that need to be addressed in order to ensure that every child has access to a quality education. These challenges include the recruitment and retention of qualified educators, concerns regarding school discipline, the historic achievement gap that we have been plagued with for quite some time, and ensuring that every child, regardless of their background, feels safe and included. I do want to highlight another issue that I hope board members are aware of, I know they are aware of, and are prioritizing. Namely, we do need to strengthen trust and communication between some of our most important stakeholders. Whether it's the residents of the North Side who believe that the closure of Robertson was predetermined, whether it is our local labor unions who feel that local contracts are not prioritized, whether it be parents of kids who are LGBT who do not feel adequately represented by this board, or whether it be too many of our career educators who feel that they are not being listened to. It is important for this board to take those perceptions seriously and to work along with the superintendent and district administration to close what the news leaders so aptly stated as a rift between the district and one of our most important stakeholders, that being SNEA. Lastly, I am and always will be a champion for public schools and SPS in particular. I so enjoyed my time working on the discipline review team a couple of years ago and collaborating with district employees on programs in the past to better our district. It is my hope that I will continue to be able to apply my skills in any way to further the district. I do wish this board all the success, and I'm hopeful that in tandem with our superintendent, our educators, parents, and other community stakeholders, that this board will work to address the most pressing issues facing our district. I also do want to say that regardless of leadership, the determination of whether our board is cohesive and works together relies on the board members individuals and not who is in leadership. So again, thank you so much and congratulations to those who are elected or re-elected.
Thank you, Kyler. Our final speaker this evening is Roy Holland.
Good evening, Madam President. Congratulations on your re-election, and the Vice President as well, and the new board member. I'm here this evening to talk about some things that I think might be worth talking over. What do you want to do first, second, and third? And after you go through an election like this, if you're not sure what you think is still important and top priorities. But one of the things that as a former state legislator, have observed, and I think that this would be helpful if we would handle these initial hearings a little bit differently. And you have to be bold to come here. And also, it could be a more respectful and informative exchange, I think, if we allowed and adopted the policy of Springfield's City Council and also the state of Missouri. The difference is people come up, they make remarks, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, but the main difference is that the people on the council, people in the state legislative committees are all have the opportunity to inquire of the speakers. That's how you increase your understanding, and also to change your environment, because then you're having a conversation and it's not an open and closed presentation. So please consider that, and there are models for you to follow. The other one coming up in NEA. We've heard from the NEA here. We know that about 80% of the employees, school employees, are in the NEA. And so it would seem that if you had most of your family in one group, that you might want to have good relationships, and common sense tells us that. So I would recommend, along that same line, we've already heard from NEA, but if you want to show some respect, I think you ought to get them to come to your board members. I think you ought to give them a 5-minute slot at every board meeting. How are you going to heal these enormous differences that you have if you don't ever talk about it? And so that's up to this board, but I think it's an easy one to say maybe that ought to be our first one, is to figure out how to get along with the NEA. And it's not the board that runs the district or drives it, but it's the teachers. And so the second one is one of the things that you could do would be to figure out some way for board members to bring up written requests to put things on the agenda. Maybe 2 board members could do that. And it seems to be difficult. And secondly, finally, we need to have more cooperation and information shared by the superintendent and the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. That concludes our public comment portion of our meeting. Moving on to item 3.01, we are starting the budget development again. So we've got Ms. Kara Stasel to present to us the Health Benefit Trust Bond Capital and Debt Service.
Awesome. Well, good evening, board, and welcome Ms. Susan Provence to the board. I met you in the hallway. I wanted to make sure I met her before I got up here for the first time, and she thought, who is this person? So last month's budget presentation provided a high-level overview of all funds that are managed by the district. Tonight's presentation will dive a little deeper into several of the funds, including debt, bond, capital, and health benefit trust, or HBT. This chart represents the funds that the district manages, with a focus on the 4 funds we will review tonight. The 4 funds represent 31% of the total budget. You'll notice that GoCaps is still listed as a separate fiduciary fund. The district had been serving as the fiscal agent for this fund since 2015. However, at the start of the current year, the program transitioned to being integrated within the district as a choice program and is no longer maintained as a fiduciary fund. There was a remaining balance in the fund that was distributed out to participating districts, which explains the small amount of expenditure budget that remained this year. We'll review the debt service fund followed by the bond fund, but first let's take a look at the connection between the two. So voters authorized the district to issue bonds by passing a ballot question. The district then offers bonds for sale, and investors purchase the bonds, and a loan is given to the district. The proceeds from the sale of the bond are then deposited into the bond fund. Checks are cut for expenditures out of the bond fund. At the same time, the tax levy for the debt service fund is also set. This tax levy generates the revenue necessary to pay principal and interest payments on that loan. As mentioned earlier, the debt service fund is used to retire or pay off voter-approved debt. The primary source of funds for debt service are the fund balance carryover from the prior year, interest earnings, and tax levy distributions. Currently, the debt service levy is 73 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. This revenue is then deposited into the debt service fund, which is then used to pay off the debt. The chart on the right includes the current year's budget, next year's preliminary budget, and a column calculating the difference between the 2 years. The beginning fund balance for the current year was $25 million, and the ending fund balance is projected to be $27 million. Next year's ending fund balance is projected to increase over the current year by $1.8 million. The final recommendation will be presented in June. At the bottom of this slide, you'll see a 5-year financial picture for the debt service fund showing last year's actual spend, current year's budget, next year's projected budget, and 2 years of estimated budget. The debt schedules, which are posted in the budget document each June, are used to estimate future amounts. Next, let's review the debt schedules. So the chart on the left represents the debt service schedule by annual payment. Over the next 10 years, $197 million in principal debt will be repaid. Also provided in the middle of the slide is the total outstanding principal amount by year. And the chart on the bottom right provides a summary of principal and interest payments by each bond series. Next, we'll review the bond fund. The bond fund is a sub-fund within the capital projects fund. When the district reports the required year-end financials to the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, the bond fund is reported within the capital projects fund. However, the district has chosen to maintain a separate bond fund for transparency, ease of reporting, and clarity in the management of the fund. Sources of revenue for the bond fund include the fund balance carryover from the prior year, the proceeds from sale of bonds, and interest earnings. The funds are then used for expenditure types as outlined in the ballot language. Provided here is the ballot language from April 2023 bond issue. Financial reporting for the bond fund is provided to the board in a variety of ways throughout the year. Each month, the bond financials are included as a part of the treasurer's report, and as necessary, change orders, bids, and agreements are provided as well. And quarterly, the board is provided a bond project update, which usually includes a fund video showcasing progress on active projects. I'm sorry to say my budget presentation does not include a fund video tonight. Maybe one day we'll get there. Provided once again is a current year to next year budget comparison based on preliminary projections. So one may wonder why the revenue budget is so much smaller than the expenditure budget. Remember that the largest portion of revenue for this fund is received during the fiscal year in which the bonds are sold. Then those revenues become part of the fund balance carryover each year. In June, the final budget recommendation will be presented. Provided on this slide is a review of the 2023 bond projects and financial information. On the left is a listing of all the bond projects with the original and adjusted project estimates. This screenshot is from February, so some of those numbers have already changed. This screenshot is also provided every month as part of the treasurer's report. The total for all projects plus contingency, bond project management, and issuance cost equals $233 million. Funding for the bond projects includes the proceeds and premium from the sale of the $190 million in bonds and interest earnings on those funds. The district has $30 million in bonds remaining to be issued at a future date. Current revenue is projected to reach $248 million, and after projected expenditures leaves an uncommitted excess of $15 million at this time. In Missouri, school districts have a debt limit. Districts are not allowed to borrow an amount greater than 15% of the district's assessed valuation. Provided here for you is our current calculation for our bonding capacity. These limits are intended to ensure fiscal responsibility and prevent excessive debt accumulation. The district's current bonding capacity is $234 million. Moving on to the Capital Projects Fund, the source of funds includes the fund balance carryover, allowable transfers from the operating fund, and certain types of revenue distributions. These funds are then used for expenditures that qualify as capital expenditures, which include items that have a cost of $3,000 or more, group purchases of assets that total $3,000 or more, lease purchase payments, or land, building, and other major improvements for non-bond projects. As part of budget development, there is a capital planning process that occurs each fall. Leaders meet with their teams to assess capital needs and submit requests for prioritizing. A budget to address the needs is then developed and presented to the board as part of the budget development process. Additionally, a capital forecast software is used to determine life cycle replacements for various assets, including buses, roofs, and playground equipment. This software aids in evenly distributing costs across multiple years, mitigating the impact of significant fluctuations in the expenditure budget that would arise if all items had to be replaced at the same time. The capital project's current year budget and preliminary budget for FY25 are provided. While the current year expenditure budget includes some one-time expenditures and ESSER-funded projects, the FY25 preliminary budget represents a more normal capital budget of $15 million. Final recommendations will be presented in June. This slide provides a preliminary capital budget request by category, and as previously mentioned, that estimated budget is currently $15 million. These items were brought forward as a part of the capital planning and capital forecast process. Lastly, we'll talk about the district's fiduciary fund, the Health Benefit Trust Fund, or HBT fund. Fiduciary funds are held in a custodial capacity. The resources do not belong to the district, and the state does not include these funds within the annual report, but the funds are audited as part of the district's regular financial audit. The Health Benefit Trust Fund serves as the district's self-insured health insurance fund. Opting for a self-insurance plan offers certain advantages over a fully insured plan, primarily by bypassing the expenses associated with a for-profit intermediary company. Moreover, it affords the district flexibility in crafting plan design tailored to meet the specific needs and circumstances of the district and its employees. The fund receives revenue through employer and employee paid insurance premiums and interest earnings. These funds are used for health claims, administrative fees, and salary and benefit costs for one wellness coordinator. Each year, both the employer and employee premiums and plan design are reviewed to ensure the district is offering plans that meet the employee's needs while also ensuring financial sustainability of the fund. For the current year, the fund started with a fund balance of $6.4 million and is projected to end with $6.8 million. The FY25 preliminary budget is provided for your review. Current providers and partners in the self-insured process are listed, with locked-in companies serving as the district's benefit consultant, providing overall support in the self-insured process. The district currently offers 3 plans for employees to choose from: a base plan, a buy-up plan, and a health savings account high-deductible health plan. In the current year, 100% of the employee-only insurance is paid by the district for both the base and high-deductible plans. The district-paid medical premium for employee-only coverage is currently $565 per month. Currently, to maintain fund stability, we anticipate a 3% rise in premiums for the upcoming year. However, given that we're only 3 months into 2024, the expected premium change will be influenced by plan utilization. New plan designs and/or changes in premium would not go into effect until January 2025. Also provided is the current census data for the medical plan. Including dependents, the district medical plan covers 5,711 lives. The final slide of the evening provides a review of the budget presentation schedule. Next month, we'll review the general and teacher fund, and then we'll have small group meetings in May, and then the June 11th presentation of the budget, and then the June 25th budget recommendation meeting. As a reminder, Missouri statute requires that the board approve a budget prior to July 1st or the start of the district's fiscal year.
Thank you, Ms. Taisel. And I know some board members have had their first small group budget meeting. The rest of us, I think, have it tomorrow, and then we'll have another opportunity to sit down with you and your team with questions that we might have. Are there any questions or comments at this time for Ms. Taisel? Okay, thank you. That moves us to item 4.01, contracts, agreements, change orders, and bids. This is for information purposes only. We will vote on this at our regular meeting later this month. Are there any questions or comments on the KCOB? Of course, we'll have 2 more weeks to review this if we've got any additional questions. Okay, moving on to item 5.01, our superintendent's update.
Good evening. Today, over 2,000 high school juniors took the ACT exam during the school day. As part of our continuing focus on increasing access and preparing students for college and careers, SPS paid the fee for each student to take the ACT. Otherwise, many of these students might not have had the opportunity to take the test. This year, we will celebrate again our 15th annual SPS Hall of Fame. So if you know some outstanding graduates, please feel free to nominate them. Nominations are open until Friday, to April 30th. Also on Friday, April 19th, we will host Celebrate SPS, where we will recognize different employees across the district. We will also be selecting our Teacher of the Year. We have 4 finalists. We will also recognize the finalists at the April 23rd board meeting. Progress as Promised continues on Proposition S middle school projects. In March, we officially broke ground on construction for the new Reed Academy of Fine and Performing Arts. And we finally announced the new location for Pipkin International Baccalaureate School. Really excited. These are important milestones as we work toward completing all Proposition S projects by 2028. Finally, I have one more recognition tonight. Pam. Where'd she go? She's where she's supposed to be. Let me try. Let me try. Here she comes, Miss Retiree. Come on in, Pam. I know. I'd like to recognize Pam Bodine, who has worked behind the scenes for the past 10 years. This is her last board meeting. She has been a member of Team SPS in some form or fashion for almost 20 years. She started out as an involved parent and PTA council president, who volunteered her time to make sure that multiple bond and levy campaigns were successful so that our schools could be air-conditioned. In 2004, she was elected to the Springfield Board of Education. For the past 15 years, she's been a full-time SPS employee. As a member of our communications team, she has used her creativity to make our annual State of the Schools event a highlight. And when any event calls for music, we rely on Pam to create the perfect playlist. Please join me in thanking Pam for her service to SPS and wish her well in her retirement. That concludes my update for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Lathan. Move on to board comments, item 6.01. Are there any board comments this evening?
I want to speak to the campaign for the elections and the candidates. I really tried to stay out of the making comments or anything of that nature. And what I heard from nearly all the candidates was the word that just kept coming up was safety. We talk big about safety, and all the candidates do in one way or another. But really, what it boils down to is you can talk about safety all you want, but if you're not going to practice it, and if you're not going to come up with ideas and suggestions, and as board members, I think it is our duty and responsibility to address safety. And at a future meeting, I want to bring up some ideas and topics. I don't want to be dismissed when I bring up something that I think that we should be talking about on the board. I think it should be taken serious. And so I'm going to take the word of many of these candidates that were out there talking about safety. I'm going to take it serious, and I want to hear what you got to say. And I hope that you have what it takes to bring forward what you believe that safety looks like and how it is that we can improve on the safety of our district. And lastly, but not least, is Dr. Kyler Sherman Wilkins. You know, Kyler and I probably hadn't gotten along throughout the last year or so, but more importantly, I think that he ran a really great campaign, and you should be recognized for that. I just hope and pray that you do run again. You articulated yourself very well on a lot of the videos and that, and I'm not saying that the other candidates didn't do that, but for a lot of the subject matter you had brought forward, not only did you engage with an answer or a solution, the ones that I seen within many of your video presentations, that when you finished yours, you had somebody follow up with that, somebody from the community, whether it be a teacher, whether it be a student, or just somebody from the community overall. And man, that's the messaging that all the candidates should follow. And I just want to commend you on your effort, and you should run again. Thank you.
Any other board comments?
To my fellow board members, I want to just take this moment to thank you. It's an honor to serve the community in this role. I am humbled by their support. I look forward to getting to know each of you and hope that we can work collectively as a team. I've always been a team player all my life. I believe that there are bright days ahead as we work together to solve the complex problems of today's world. To Dr. Latham and to the leadership team, though my role with the Springfield schools has changed, my commitment to what is best for kids remains the same. I look forward to supporting our teachers as they provide every student the education and experiences that will lead to a successful life. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board comments?
I have a few. I read in the updated information about the nurses going through a poverty simulation, and having had an opportunity to do something like that in the past, it is eye-opening and it is remarkable in a humbling way, and it really does give people that may have never experienced extreme poverty an opportunity to know what that could be like, and most importantly, what that might feel like. It was in the information that we received that one nurse reported an increased anxiety for trying to decide. As a participant, she was in the position of having to decide whether to feed her children or pay the rent. And over the years, I have met families that have found themselves in those situations. So it's not just a simulation, it's a real deal to real people. As part of that simulation, the nurses experienced job loss, inadequate housing, unreliable transportation. And I think sometimes as a school board or as a teacher or a principal or even just a community member, I think sometimes it's easy to think or to believe, why don't these kids do better? And I have to tell you, having worked in high poverty schools and then being reminded of that through the information about the simulation, my question oftentimes is, it's not why don't they do better? I often am left thinking, how do they do as well as they do, facing the mountains that they are climbing that I have never had to climb. I also read in that same vein in the report about Care to Learn, and that remarkable organization with 1,785 vouchers this year so far for food, clothing, hygiene items, haircuts, and shoes. What a lot of us consider basic needs we do have children and families in our community that have trouble meeting that. And so thank you to Care to Learn and to all the people that support that organization. It really contributes to our wonderful community that I've had the privilege of being a part of for, I won't tell you how many years, but many, when I was born in St. John's Hospital. I also read with interest that the average daily attendance for choice schools so far this year is 95.33%, an increase of 0.83% from last year. And again, having served in the front lines, to raise attendance in any way, in any increment, is huge. It is huge. So hats off to not just the choice programs that are getting that done, but to the other schools that are doing it as well, and for all the efforts being made at the district level, and in particular down at the building level, where the rubber hits the road, if you will. Finally, I want to give a shout out to our transportation department, to our school police, to local law enforcement, to counselors, to principals, to teachers that do that heavy lift every day of keeping us safe. And it comes down to training and professional development and for having the heart for the business that we do. So these organizations and these individuals and these heroes should never be underestimated, and we just cannot thank them enough. And I think we've seen evidence of some of the good training in the recent past, situations that might have turned out very differently, but had an ending that we could support. So I thank you to all those groups. I thank the school board, Steve, for bringing up the safety piece. No one can minimize that. Nobody can minimize it. But we do have people doing the heavy lift, and they are doing the right thing, the right things to keep our students safe. And I just truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Do you want me to go next? Go ahead. Okay. Well, and Pam's daughter does the amazing balloon work.
Yes.
Yeah, you didn't mention that. Well, Mrs. Provance, I want to welcome you to the board. I suspect you already know this, but you're going to be drinking out of a fire hose for the next year. And as an experienced teacher, you sure know what it feels like to have a new kid in the class or new kid on the team. I know a little bit about that too. My family moved around a lot. So I want to let you know that if there's anything I can do to help, please do not hesitate to reach out. Yep, and as a teacher, and I've mentioned this earlier tonight, and I know that you appreciate that this is the beginning of a second semester. At least for me it is, right? And we all start out with 100% A+. And I see this as an opportunity for new things, for new ideas, and for new feedback. So welcome. Speaking of feedback, and it was nice to hear that the surveys that went out to the parents also went out to the teachers. And usually we send them out to the students as well. So I suspect everybody got, can you not hear me?
No, you just kept fading away.
Oh, sorry.
I think you're moving away from the mic.
Okay, I was looking at my notes here. Surveys. I think surveys are very important. Everyone's voice matters. But hearing from the people that are closest to the students, so the parents, really hits home for me. Plus, I got to fill out that survey. So I'm going to read to you the question that was on there. The question is, hold on, I've got the question here. And I got to look at some of the thoughts that were expressed on the platform. So the question is, what are we doing well, and what can we do to continue to improve your family's experience with your child's school? There were almost 1,700 thoughts that were shared, and I had an opportunity to look at about a third of them. And There were 27,000 ratings, so not quite as much as the 52,000 that the staff had. But the three themes that emerged were, and this is not going to be a shocker, behavior, discipline, not just in the classroom, but overall with respect to other aspects, bullying, drugs, and so forth. So that's one. Number two is the overutilization of technology. And three, the early start times for elementary students. The last two are already on the board radar. In terms of, we are monitoring it. We look at busing every year. We're trying to do the very best that we can. And we know that nothing will change for next year, but we acknowledge that many of our parents still have a concern. And so we're not giving up on that. And with respect to technology, there were also several questions on the survey to the parents, specifically asking about technology in education and its impact. And so I think there's going to be some really amazing data that's going to come out of that. We're going to be able to mine all this information that then is going to be taken into account in the process of developing the comprehensive technology plan that I so look forward to hearing about. Okay, but that leaves behavior. And I'm going to, so these are the words I heard earlier, the immediate urgency that is palpable. And I think we all know that. But what can we do at the board level? And I know that Dr. Lathan is working diligently with staff at all levels, looking at what's working really well, what's effective, what can be done better, so that, you know, she and staff can put all the pieces and the programs where they need to be as we prepare for next academic year. And I look forward to hearing about all those plans. I can't wait. But it still leaves me to think, but what are we doing at the board level? And I think another way to ask that question is, what is our responsibility? So as a board, we A, make policy, we B, monitor performance, and then C, we serve as the community liaison. So from a policy perspective, in February, if you all recall, and Mrs. Provance, this happened in February, what I'm referring to, the board decided not to adopt an updated policy plan. And those reasons are still a bit unclear to me. And perhaps that's a bridge that we choose to cross later down the road. But for now, I want to ask to have dialogue at the board table as soon as possible. In my opinion, having a conversation communicates to the community that we're not doing nothing. I think that's really important. And who knows where the conversation will lead once we start talking about it. Maybe we'll learn how to better monitor performance. I think at the very minimum, we're going to learn a little bit more about each other and how to tackle an issue for the next challenge that we face, because I think this isn't going to be our only challenge. I think having a conversation and a discussion item on the agenda would not require anything on behalf of the district, right? I mean, we all know that the district is working really hard to problem solve. But I don't think that means that we can't talk about it, or that at least we can acknowledge the challenge and the work that's already going into it. But I think the fundamental piece that I'm looking for is an opportunity for us to share our thoughts with each other so that we can indeed have brighter days ahead. Again, not just about this, but this is an opportunity for us to come together and listen to each other and speak with each other. And I think that there's so much value in that. I also think there's value in Dr. Lathan hearing our thoughts in one sitting collectively at the same time. She can hear all of us and what we all think. Because I don't think we've been doing really good so far. So comments made during the board comment period, like the one I'm making right now, or during the campaign, I feel like these comments are getting lost in the shuffle, or they get sensationalized in the media. I don't find them helpful in serving the students. It's not helping us move forward to help our students. So, on the very first day of this new semester, I'd like to ask to have discipline added as a discussion item to the next meeting, or maybe a board retreat, because I think that this is something that we can work together because we are together, and we are indeed united in our mission. And despite the differences and the way that we started this evening off, I do think that this would be a great way for this new beginning so that we can look forward to the bright days ahead.
Thank you, Board Member Mohammed Khani. And just a reminder to all board members, Vice President Christ handled it this way, and I believe Vice President Bruner and I will also handle it this way. If you want an item added to the agenda, you need to email President and Vice President before our board officers meeting and request what item you want added to the agenda. I think you've done that before with technology. I know Dr. Thomas Tate has done it once before as well. So you'll just send an email to us.
Can I ask? So what happened with technology is you get a 10-minute platform. I'm looking for an informal discussion.
I'll talk with Vice President Bruner and get back to you, but please do send that email. Okay, are there any other board comments at this time? Okay, I just want to thank everybody who voted last week and took an interest in our public schools. I look forward to serving for the next 3 years, and I do think that there is a huge opportunity for us to work together to better this district. And I also wanted to comment, I was reminded today, not that I had forgotten about launch, but I had the opportunity to sit in on the Mayor's Commission for Children where Dr. Nicole Lemon provided a presentation on launch. And I know one of the things that I learned when I joined the board is we don't have 5 graduations. We have 7 graduations. Launch has a graduation and Studi has a graduation. And I was reminded of that today and just how unique Launch is in our country, that we have a school district, SPS, who provides that online learning for students across the state. In many other states, it's for-profit organizations that are providing this online learning, and I really appreciated that opportunity to be reminded of the wonderful things that Launch is doing. So. With that, our next upcoming meeting, our regular meeting, is scheduled for April 23rd in 2 weeks. And a reminder to board members, if you have any questions prior to that time, please be sure to email those to Dr. Lathan, Ms. Bruner, and myself. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting. Unless you want to stay here.
So moved.
Thank you. Board
Second.
Member Thomas Tate makes the motion. Do I have a second? Did you say second from Board Member McCoskey? This time we will vote.
You'll need a roll call on you.
Okay, we'll do a quick roll call vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Board Member Mohammed Khani. Board Member Mohammed Khani and Board Member Bruner, we're doing a roll call vote to adjourn. It's not working, so we're doing a roll call vote. Board Member Mohammed Khani. Can you just say aye? Thank you. Chair votes aye.